They called me a loser for years, until I won $70 million. Then my own brother tried to steal it and ended up in prison. This is how money destroyed our family and changed everything about my life. I was always the guy people looked past. Not hated, not mocked outright, just ignored. I worked at a tire shop in a small town in Indiana, the kind of place where people remember your mistakes more than your name. My boss, Rick, used to say I had potential, but that word started to sound like a curse after a while. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat, drove a '98 Corolla with a busted AC, and spent most nights watching reruns of shows I didn't even like. I wasn't miserable, just invisible. My younger brother, Kyle, was the opposite. He had charm, ambition, and a way of making people believe in him, even when he was full of shit. He sold cars, flipped houses, ran a couple of online businesses that never really took off but always sounded impressive when he talked about them. Our parents adored him. At family gatherings, they'd ask Kyle about his ventures and barely glance at me. I didn't blame them. I didn't give them much to talk about. Kyle and I weren't close. We'd talk maybe once a month, usually when he needed something. Money, a favor, a ride. Always said yes. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted to feel useful. Maybe because I thought that if I helped him enough, he'd see me as more than just the brother who never made it. The lottery ticket was a fluke. I bought it on a Wednesday, right after work. I was tired, sweaty, and pissed off because a customer had yelled at me for scratching his rim. I stopped at a gas station to grab a soda, and the clerk asked if I wanted to try the new scratch-off. Said sure. It cost $10, which was more than I usually spent on that kind of thing, but I figured what the hell. I scratched it in my car. At first, I thought I'd misread it. I stared at the numbers, then at the back of the ticket, then back at the numbers. I drove home, sat on my couch and stared at it some more. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I went to the lottery office, hands shaking, heart pounding. They confirmed it. $70 million. After taxes, it came out to about 48. Still more money than I'd ever dreamed of. I didn't tell anyone at first. I didn't know how. I kept going to work, kept living in my apartment, kept driving my Corolla. I opened a new bank account, hired a lawyer, and started planning. I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to be one of those idiots who blew it all in a year. I read articles, watched videos, talked to financial advisors. I made lists. I dreamed. After 2 weeks, I told Kyle. I figured he'd be happy for me. I met him at a diner, bought him lunch, and said, I won the lottery. He laughed. Thought I was joking. When I showed him the paperwork, his face changed. He didn't say much, just nodded and asked a few questions. How much did I get? What was I going to do with it? Did I need help managing it? I told him I was still figuring things out. That I wanted to take it slow. He said that was smart. He said he was proud of me. The next few weeks were strange. People started noticing me. Kyle told our parents, and suddenly I was getting calls, invitations, attention. My boss offered me a promotion I didn't need. Old friends reached out. Strangers smiled at me. I bought a new truck, moved into a nicer apartment, started traveling a little. Nothing crazy. I still wore the same clothes, ate at the same places. But everything felt different. Kyle started showing up more. He'd drop by unannounced, ask about my plans, pitch ideas. He wanted to start a business together. A car dealership, maybe, or a real estate firm. I told him I wasn't ready. He said I was wasting my potential. That word again. One night, he got drunk and told me I owed him. That he'd always believed in me, even when no one else did. That he'd helped me get out of the gutter. I didn't argue. I just nodded and went home. I started getting paranoid. I changed my passwords, added security to my accounts, stopped sharing details. I didn't think Kyle would do anything stupid, but I didn't want to take chances. I hired a private accountant, moved some money offshore, bought a safe. I didn't tell anyone where I kept my documents. Then, one morning, I woke up to find my apartment door ajar. Nothing looked stolen, but something felt off. I checked my safe, it was untouched. My laptop was still there. But my gut told me someone had been inside. I called the building manager. He said Kyle had been by the day before, said he was dropping off a gift. I hadn't seen any gift. I confronted Kyle. He denied it. Said the manager was mistaken. Said I was being paranoid. I wanted to believe him. I really did. A week later, my bank called. There'd been an attempt to transfer a large sum, $2 million, from one of my accounts. The request had come through a fake email, supposedly from me. They flagged it, froze the account, and launched an investigation. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about Kyle. His questions, his visits, his tone. I called my lawyer, gave him everything I had, emails, texts, logs. He said it looked bad. Said we should prepare for the worst. 2 days later, Kyle was arrested. Fraud, attempted theft, breaking and entering. They found evidence on his laptop, his phone, even his car. He'd been planning it for weeks. He'd copied my keys, hacked my email, forged documents. He tried to steal from me. I didn't go to the trial. I couldn't. I watched it unfold from a distance. He got 7 years. Our parents were devastated. They blamed me in a way. Said I should have helped him more. Said I changed. Maybe I had. Maybe money does that. But I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be rich. I didn't ask to be betrayed. I still think about Kyle. About the way he looked at me when I told him I'd won. About the way he smiled, like he was already spending it. I wonder if he ever really saw me, as a person, as a brother, or just as a stepping stone. I don't know. I really don't. After Kyle was sentenced, I didn't hear from him for a long time. No letters, no calls. I didn't reach out either. I didn't know what I'd say. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Tired of trying to prove myself, tired of being used, tired of pretending that family meant something it didn't. I moved again. Bought a house in Colorado, up in the mountains. Quiet place, lots of trees, no neighbors for miles. I figured I'd start fresh. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I changed my number, deleted my social media, cut ties with almost everyone. I needed space. I needed silence. The money sat in my accounts, untouched for the most part. I lived simply. I cooked my own meals, chopped my own wood, drove into town once a week for groceries. I read a lot. Walked a lot. Thought a lot. I didn't feel happy, exactly, but I felt clean. Like I'd rinsed off years of grime. Sometimes I'd get letters from people I used to know. Old coworkers, distant relatives, even strangers who'd heard about my win. They all wanted something. A loan, a donation, a second chance. I didn't respond. I wasn't trying to be cruel, I just didn't want to go back to that world. The world where I was either invisible or a target. One day, about a year after Kyle went to prison, I got a letter from him. Handwritten, no return address. Just my name on the envelope. I almost threw it away. But curiosity got the better of me. He said he was sorry. Not just for what he did, but for who he'd been. He said he'd spent the first few months in prison blaming me, resenting me, convincing himself that I'd stolen something from him. But then he started talking to other inmates, hearing their stories, seeing the patterns. He said he realized he'd never really worked for anything. That he'd always expected things to fall into place. That he'd used people, me most of all. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't ask for money. He just said he hoped I was okay. That he was trying to be better. That he was taking classes, reading books, keeping his head down. I didn't know how to feel. Part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me didn't. I put the letter in a drawer and left it there. Months passed. Seasons changed. I started volunteering at a local shelter, helping out with repairs and maintenance. Nobody knew who I was. I liked that. I liked being useful without being watched. One day, I met a guy named Marcus. He ran the shelter. Ex-military, tough but kind. We got to talking, and eventually I told him about the lottery. Not everything, just the basics. He didn't react the way most people did. He just nodded and said, "That's a lot of weight to carry." That stuck with me. Because it was. People think winning the lottery is like getting wings. But it's more like getting armor. Heavy, rigid, isolating. You stop trusting people. You stop trusting yourself. Every decision feels loaded. Every smile feels suspicious. I started writing. Not for anyone else, just for me. Journals, notes, fragments of thoughts. I wrote about Kyle, about our childhood, about the way money changes things. I wrote about guilt, about silence, about the strange loneliness of success. Eventually, I wrote him back. Just a short note. I said I got his letter. I said I hoped he was doing okay. I didn't say I forgave him. I didn't say I missed him. I just said I was alive, and I hoped he was too. He wrote again. More letters followed. We didn't talk about the money. We didn't talk about the crime. We talked about books, about memories, about the things we used to dream about. It was strange, rebuilding something from ashes. But it felt real. After 3 years, he got out early for good behavior. He didn't come looking for me. He moved to a small town in Ohio, got a job at a warehouse, started over. We kept writing. Eventually, we talked on the phone. Then we met in person. It was awkward. We sat across from each other at a diner, the same one where I'd told him about the win. He looked older, thinner, quieter. He said he didn't expect me to trust him. I said I didn't, but I was willing to try. We didn't become best friends. We didn't go back to how things were. But we found a rhythm. A way to exist in each other's lives without pretending. He never asked for money again. I never offered. I still live in Colorado. Still keep things simple. The money's there, but it's not who I am. I've donated a lot of it anonymously. Schools, shelters, food banks. I don't want credit. I just want impact. Sometimes I think about that day at the gas station. About how one scratch changed everything. Not just my bank account, but my relationships, my identity, my sense of safety. I think about how fragile things are. How easy it is to lose sight of what matters. People used to call me a loser. Then they called me lucky. Now, I don't care what they call me. I'm just a man who lived through something strange, something heavy, something real. And I'm still here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this.